All right, in the previous lessons, we explored variables, which are just placeholders for values. And as their name would suggest, a variable's value can change over time, or rather the object that the variable points to can change over time. So for example, if I have a program with an age variable, and I begin by setting it to 25, I can output age right now, and we can see 25 appear in my Atom Runner output. Perhaps later in the program, through some kind of calculation, the variable can change to point instead to an integer like 30. And now the value of age is going to change. We can see it output in the output to the right. Now, a constant operates similarly to a variable. It follows a very similar structure as far as assigning a value or an object to a constant. But the idea behind a constant is that it represents something that should not change throughout the program, that should not change over time. So for example, let's say I'm writing a program that has the user's age and the user's name, and the age may change over time, or perhaps the calculation will, but the name is going to stay constant. So we want to write a constant to reference something like a string that's going to be my name. Constants are required to begin in Ruby with a capital letter. However, the best practice and the community standard among Rubyists is to simply write the constant name in complete uppercase. So if I wanted to have a name constant, I would write it N-A-M-E, all caps. So this is my own constant name. And then otherwise, the syntax is exactly the same. We can use equals, and whatever's on the right side of the equal sign will be what that constant is set to. So if I write my name like Boris, there it is. Let's define another constant below. I'm going to create a constant called pi, and I'm going to set that to 3.14159, which is a floating point number, a number with decimals. Now again, notice the syntactical difference. These constant names are written in uppercase, but otherwise they operate exactly the same. So I can do something like output name, output pi. We can see that they both appear here to the right. We can use these constants in things like string interpolations. My name is name. You can see there it appears. So it operates exactly the same as a variable does, but the design of a constant is such that it's not supposed to change over the course of a program. Now here's where it gets interesting and bizarre. In other programming languages, you're going to get an error if you attempt to change the value that a constant is assigned to. In Ruby, it's technically permissible. You're going to get a red warning message. We'll see that in a second. But Ruby will still technically allow it. Ruby, as I mentioned, is a very flexible language. So let's show you how this works. This is not good. This is a big no-no. I just want to show you that it is possible, just in case you ever run into it in the future. If I decide to change the name constant to be something new, let's say I pick a new name like Jeff. If I execute this right now, you'll see that Ruby offers us a bunch of warnings. Right here, we can see that it says, warning, already initialized constant name, warning, previous definition of name was here. However, if I output p name directly below this, we'll see it show up right here in our Atom Runner. There it is. There's Jeff. So we can see that the string that the name constant is pointing to has, in fact, changed from Boris to Jeff. So you can alter it, but this is definitely not recommended. It's a big no-no. So constants should really be used only for pointing to values that are not going to change throughout the course of the program. Even though they can, technically speaking, you really shouldn't. So use variables whenever you're anticipating them to hold values that are going to change throughout the program, or maybe you're going to use that variable to store multiple things as you proceed. Use constants when the object that those constants are pointed to is going to stay constant or remain the same throughout the entire program. So this is an introduction to constants in Ruby.